Welcome to illustration with Gifty Couture. So I'll be making an illustration on how to draft our bomber jacket and the cap, and I hope this illustration is going to be very useful. And if there is any question you want to ask, you can drop it and I will attend to them. Okay, now for drafting our pattern, we have my pen. You can use marker. I have my tape measure, my scissors, I have my ruler and my hand core. It is very essential for pattern drafting. So the first thing you are going to do when you want to draft your pattern is you get the base of where you are starting from. You can get the base by half an inch. So it is just like you cutting out the African prints or all those tags that comes with the clothes. So then what you do after that is you rule in a straight line. So now for drafting your bomber jacket, now it is just like you don't have to take the back separate. The same pattern used for the front can be used for the back. Now let's assume the length of my client's measurement is 20. So I'm going to deduct 2 inches for the bun, then I'll measure 18, then I'll make it 18 and half. The reason for the half an inch is for the same allowance, that is the joining of the shoulder. So you measure your 18 and half. So once you measure your 18 and half, you make sure you do what? You connect with your ruler. Make sure you connect. It is very important to draft your pattern. So you connect. Can you see it now? So yes, this is our length. Don't forget I have deducted 2 inches. I will tell you the reason why I deducted the 2 inches from the normal length. Then from there you get your armhole. Now how to measure your armhole? You measure round the armpit. You put the tape round the armpit and make it a bit free. So for most people like us now, it is almost 16. That is 8. But for a little child, I'll be using the measurements of a little child here. It is 12. That is a child of 7 years, a bit chubby. It is 12. So that is 6 inches. So you get your armhole line. That is 6 inches. Then you connect as well. You connect as well, as you can see. Then in this kind of pattern, you are going to draft the waist measurement. Now the waist measurement has to do with the innermost part of the body. So the waist measurement for my child is 12 inches. We are using 12 inches. Don't forget the bomber jacket will stay directly on the hip, or you can make it come a bit lower depending on your choice, but directly on the hip will make it finer and more classy. So this is your armhole, this is your waist, and this is your base. So after that you get the shoulder measurement. You can divide your shoulder. So for the neck, I'll be using 3 inches because the child is a bit chubby, or you can use 2.5, but I will be using 3 inches because I don't want the neck to be too big or too small. For adults, you can use something like 3.5 or 4, depending on how big the person is. Then you measure the next shoulder. I'll be using 3.5 inches as well. Then you roll down this place, the 3.5 here, as you can see. Then your neck, you use your armhole cuff to get a very small neck. But before that, you can come down by 1 inch for the back, or let me say half an inch for the back. So let's come down by half an inch, or let's come down by 1 inch. Then for the front, you come down by 1.5 inch. So this is the back. I'll be using the same pattern for both front and back. So you can use your armhole cuff to get a very perfect circle for the neck, and same here. Then for your back, this is for the back, and the other half an inch, that is 1.5 inch, is for the front. So for the front, you just come down, you connect a little lower for the front, you connect same way. So you just make sure this side is a bit curvy. Are you getting it now? So, and you can make yours higher than this. Then from the shoulder, from the nip of the shoulder here, you measure half an inch. So once you measure the half an inch, you measure it here half an inch. Then you connect right from the neck down to where you measure the half an inch. And the reason for this is that the shoulder will not be bugging, it will not be standing like carpet or something, so that it will come down. Then the next thing we are going to do is you take your armhole curve to get your armhole measurement, to give it the perfect shape that you want. And here it is. This is for the back. This first armhole is for the back. This first line is for the back. Then for the front, you go in just a little bit more, just a little. You go in a bit more than the front, a bit more than the front. You shouldn't go in too much. This is the front. You go in a bit more than the back. This first line is for the back, and this second line is for the front. Can you get it now? So we have something like this. We are almost done with our bomber jacket. So now, the measurements you need for the bomber jacket is the bust measurement. Since we are not shaping the waist, we are not shaping the hip and all, we are only getting the bust measurement. So now, and once you are measuring your client, make sure you have enough space so that it will not be too slim. So the bust measurement here is 15, and 15 divided by 4 is 7.5. So I'll be adding 1 inch to 7.5 inches. That will give us 8.5. The 1 inches is the same allowance. As you can see, we have 8.5 inches. You mark your 8.5. You come down to the waist, you mark your 8.5. You come down, you mark your 8.5. And if yours is coming down, to the top of the hip very well, you can add 1 inch to make it 9, or you measure the hip and divide it by 4. But I'll just be putting this here, but on this illustration I'll be using the same measurement all through. So then the next thing you do is you connect using a straight line. Don't mind the biro. You connect using a straight line. So if you want, but it is just better you have it this way. So now we are almost done with our pattern drafting. Now, after doing it like this, you cut out the back. You don't have to open the back here because you are not adding any zipper. So you just take it back. Then for the front, you open it just the way it is seen now. You have a part for the front, a part for the other side where you are going to have your zip. Then from here, you are going to measure 2.5 inches or 3. You can just give it a notch in here. So you cut out a fabric. Another fabric that is into 4 inches long. That is 4 inches long. Then you fold in. That is the same fabric you are using here. You fold it into 2. It will give you 2 inches. Then you add. It should not be more than 3 inches. You add from here to here, to where the zipper is. So you are going to have something like this. Is the fabric like this. Like, remember, we are cutting out this base. So by the time you join that 2 inches fabric, it will be here. That is it. Then for the zipper, the first thing you do is you place your zipper on the front here. You place your zipper here, just the same way you do your invisible zipper. You place it here. Then you cut out a fabric. You are going to measure. You will measure from here, from this place down here. It will give you 20. Okay, you have 17, 18, 19. It will give you 19 inches. The reason is this. You've already added the 2 inches I said you will join to the down. That will give you 19. The reason why it is 19, some people will be wondering that it is 20. Don't forget you have taken out the neck. So you are going to cut that same thing long. You place it on it, then you sew together. So it will be very neat. Then you turn that half fabric inside, while the zipper will be outside. You do the same thing for the other side. So that is almost that. Then after that, you can join the shoulders together. Then now for the cap. Now you have to measure from your client's head down to the neck. The length from the head here down to the neck, or it is something you can actually guess. So my client's own is 9. As you can see, it's 9. It is 8.5. So I added half an inch for the seam allowance, that is 9 inches. Then from to get the wideness, you can measure from here to here, from here to here, depending on how you want it to be. So mine is 14 inches, but I added 1 inch rather, so it will give me 15. I mean, mine is 14 inches, then I added 1 inches, that will give me 15 inches. So now the 15, now after folding it, you get your 15. This is the 1 inches, as you can see. This is the extra 1 inch. Now the extra 1 inches, after cutting it out this way, so this is how to cut your cap. You cut the length 9 inches, the breadth 15 inches, depending. So after cutting it out like this, at times your fabric may not be open at the back, so you may leave it there. But if it is open, probably you cut it into two. You have to join it from here like this, then you place your machine on it again for neatness for the second time. But if you are not joining the back, you can just join the up and place your machine on it again. After that, you then fold this 1 inch into two. You press with your machine, then you make a very small neat hole here. That is 1 inch before the seam. 1 inch, exactly 1 inch before the seam. That is where you make your hole. So the hole now, you open it a little bit. You can use those machines that they normally use to add iron to it, or you can just make it your own way, and it should just be very neat and be creative. So you can use any type of, you can use rope